Theresa Russelo is a pre-award grant facilitator in Research Development and Services, which is one of the branches of Research Western. So my guess is not very many people know what a pre-award grant facilitator is, and I thought I'd begin by telling you. So researchers at Western bring into this university and into the broader London community every year almost $250 million to support research and the training of graduate students and postdocs here at Western. That money comes from applications that individual researchers submit to granting agencies and foundations and companies for research money. Research is expensive. Every researcher must meet certain criteria, and it's the responsibility of the university to assert, by means of signatures, that every grant application is being submitted by a researcher who has the qualifications to do the research, who has the facilities to do the research. There has to be certification that the university has health and safety regulations in place to make sure that the research is done safely. We have to certify that ethical issues are satisfied. In short, there's a whole list of certifications that have to be in place, and we have to certify to that before the grant application leaves the university to go to the funding agency. And all those grant applications pass through Theresa. She's the person who looks at every application to make sure that the researcher and the university are equipped to do the research if it gets funded. It's actually a little more complicated than that. These applications are complex. They can be 50 or more pages. There are strict guidelines that differ from one agency to another. And the last thing we want to have happen is for a research grant application to be turned down, not because the research wasn't deemed to be useful or important, but because the applicant didn't adhere to the guidelines. So Theresa is our insurance that those guidelines are respected, and what we send off to granting agencies is ready to be reviewed and is competitive for funding. It's a tremendous responsibility. Now, I've been through over 30 years of applying for grants here at Western, and speaking for myself and for all researchers, this is a very, very stressful process. And believe it or not, there are a few researchers at Western who leave it until the last minute. I know this is a shock to everybody. And that really increases the stress. So when the deadline is approaching and the researcher wants to be sure that they cross all the I's and dot all the T's, actually I think it's the other way around, they all too often rely too heavily on Theresa because they know she is so confident she'll catch any mistakes or any shortcomings that hopefully they have time then to correct. But it's those very last minute submissions that cause the problem. And I know on a number of occasions, Theresa has spent her weekends sitting at her desk in Research Development Services, knowing that there are going to be phone calls coming in from researchers who are in an absolute panic because they're running out of time and they just haven't started early enough. Now, what a researcher needs in a moment like that is someone who's calm, who understands the process, who can quickly get to the nature of the problem and find a solution. And that is Theresa. I don't think I've ever mentioned this to you before, Theresa, but one of our researchers, after a particularly brutal grant application season, mentioned to me that he and his colleagues were so grateful that there was somebody like Theresa there to save their necks when they're running out of time. this researcher said, you know what we refer to her in our faculty? She's Mother Teresa. If you know Theresa, you'll realize why she's so good at this job. She has the temperament that a person in her position needs to have. She's unflappable. She doesn't respond to panic. She's cool, calm, helpful, friendly. It is almost like going to your mom in a time of stress, and knowing that there's somebody there who can help you through this very, very difficult time. Now, I want to give you one example of going beyond the call of duty that Theresa was responsible for. In 2007, the Canadian Institutes of Health Research, which is one of the main sources of research funding at Western, rolled out a new electronic grant submission process. Previous to this time, everything had been done on paper. And the last hours before grant submission usually was spent by researchers standing by the photocopier, running off copy after copy after copy, and making sure all the signatures were there, and then packaging it all up and sending it off. So everybody agreed that an electronic submission process was a step forward. This was great. It was going to make things so much easier. However, as with any new process, there's a learning curve. And Theresa knew that this would be a potential stumbling block for our last-minute applicants, because now they had to learn a new submission system. So at the Canadian Association of Research Administrators, a CORA meeting in 2007, a person from CHR was there explaining the new electronic submission process and how it was going to work. And this person mentioned that CHR wanted to line up a small number of universities who would be willing to pilot this new system, sort of be guinea pigs, as it were. Theresa put up her hand and said, "We'll do it." So she was the first person to sign on behalf of Western to the piloting of this new fledgling online submission process. During that fall, she worked through the process. She spent a lot of time learning the new system, talking with people at CHR. Then when it came time for the applications to come in, she was ready for this. And she helped walk our researchers through this new online application system. It went extremely well. There was a lot of good feedback. We didn't have any major catastrophes. People adapted to the new system very quickly because Theresa already knew how it was going to work. Since then, I've talked to several colleagues at other universities saying, "How did you guys do with the new system?" And I can say, "No big deal. We handled it very easily. No complaints. Everybody got their applications in on time." And it was all because of Theresa, because of the extra work that she did putting that together. So Theresa, this award is well deserved, and I know I speak for not just myself as a researcher, but all the researchers across campus who have or will benefit from your expertise in helping them through that very stressful time of getting that grant application through the signature process and off to the granting agency. Thank you.
Thank you for those nice words, Jerry. That's great. Being the recipient of the Western Award of Excellence is truly a prestigious honor. When I received this great news, I was almost speechless, and for those of you who know me, that speaks volumes. I was so surprised and pleased that my nominators, Anna Zalicki from Social Science, who's not here today, Karen Kuhneman from Education, and Dr. Tom Carmichael, Dean of FIMS, submitted a nomination on my behalf. I would like to thank each of them and all of those who provided additional support to this nomination. You may never know how much I value this vote of confidence and your kind words, especially with this recognition coming from the faculties. I would also like to thank the selection committee for this award, especially now that I've seen who I'm being honored with. I know that all the nominees were very well deserving, and I offer my congratulations to all nominees and all of the award winners. I'm truly blessed to work within the world of research at Western. The teams at Research Development and Services and throughout Research Western are professionals dedicated to the success of the full research community at Western and in the London community. It is only with the contributions of these teams that I'm able to assist our students, staff, and researchers through the complex grant application process. The programs and rules of research funding are ever-changing and can be confusing. My goal is to streamline the signature and application process at Western and to assist with successful grant submissions while ensuring compliance to agency requirements. It does take some long hours to get through the high volume of the fall grant application period, and I do appreciate the support I receive from home this time. I'm from a very large supportive family, many of whom are here today, and my siblings and I all attribute our high work ethic to the values set in our childhood. I would like to thank my family for their never-ending support. I'd also like to speak very briefly about the wonderful professional development opportunities here at Western. I'm currently in the 7th course of the 8-course Canadian Institute of Management program offered here at Western to staff through continuing studies. As significant as the education has been in the CIM program, and it is extremely valuable and relevant, an incredible value-added benefit has absolutely been the networking opportunities in meeting and connecting with committed staff from across campus. So thank you to the Western administration for the Award of Excellence program.